And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. Now, again, we're getting there. With your help, we'll get there real soon. So hit subscribe, watch, comment. Please keep the comments coming and share with family and friends because the insanity, the chaos, the nonsense, it's not stopping. Just today, the Winning the AI Race Summit is taking place. It's hosted by the All In Podcast and Hill and Valley Forum. Now, the reason that I'm talking about it is because Trump, the president of the United States, happens to be the keynote speaker. And one of the podcast hosts is David Sachs, Trump's AI and crypto czar. Well, last night on Political Beatdown, my co-host Ben Meiselas and we had we'll call it a topical conversation about AI. Now, I brought up Trump's promise of how much money that tariffs are going to bring into the country. Ben, of course, he brought up AI in comparison. AI companies claim and promised that they would bring in more than $500 billion into America. But as robots and AI start to replace humans, what does this actually mean for the future of America, for the future of American workers, and specifically Trump's average American voter? We kind of get into it, and so I think so should you. Play the clip. None of this policy, none of any of these policies are actually thought out. In other words, it's almost like, let's just do a tariff across the board. I'm sending a letter. Dear President of so-and-so country, not the guy's name or the woman's name, just dear President so-and-so. As of August 1, your country will be paying the United States a 20% tariff on any and all goods coming into the United States. Well, it's problematic when you're talking about the auto industry because parts run back and forth between, say, Detroit and Canada, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Every single time that a new part is added to another part, you're going to put a tariff onto it. At what point in time do the CEOs have to get together, sit down with Howard Lutnick, sit down with Bessent, sit down with the president and say, you are going to shut down and destroy the auto industry? Which doesn't really make sense because you're actually telling the American people that we're in the process of building more plants because it needs to be made in America, and that we're going to reduce the restrictions on the barrier entries into business by making it easier for you. How? By bankrupting us? $1.1 billion loss for this one, $2.2 billion for another. At some point in time, where's all the trillions of dollars that allegedly America's making off of this tariff geniusness?
You think about too, right? Donald Trump promised at the beginning of the term, he had that meeting with OpenAI and with SoftBank and with Oracle. Remember that? They had the three billionaires standing right there. What did they promise? $500 billion of hard money investments into the United States, guaranteed. And this was Donald Trump's big first announcement. Look what I did, $500 billion AI. We're leading the AI revolution. We've got this big win. You and I, after he announced it, I remember we did the show on Political Beatdown. We said you have to view his conduct, not his words. His words are nothing. He's a fraud. He's a criminal. You testified against him in a criminal and civil case involving fraud. Like we know the guy lies about numbers. That's his thing. So we have to see his conduct. Are these factories actually being built? Turns out, no, they're not. There was a fight or a dispute between all of those companies. That's what they're saying. But my view is they were never going to build it anyway. To your point, they wanted to stroke his ego and be in the Oval Office and try to get a bump on their own valuations. Now they're only going to build, Cohen, one data center is what they're saying. One small data center. They don't know where. I doubt they even build that data center. But that's where we've gone. $500 billion to maybe a small $50 million data center somewhere, maybe. And then you can do this with every issue. It's why, though, I anchor this with Epstein, because it's so obvious and flagrant, right? when it's a hoax, it's a this, it's a that. But it's every aspect, it's every issue. He is a liar and he is a fraud and he acts consistent with everything you were warning the world about, Cohen, with this guy. Every
Yeah.
single thing, he acts consistent with that awful character. So you take any of these issues, at all, pick one. Ukraine, in addition to him promising he would end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. What, 2 weeks ago, he had Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO, there. Remember what the press said? Donald Trump's now supporting Ukraine. This is going to be big. He's
And
going to give
350 billion now that we've given, when in fact it's Europe that has given the 350. We gave about $1.25. He keeps reversing the numbers, and I blame not just him onto it. Yes, shit always flows downhill. We will all acknowledge
get
that.
it.
That's on anybody who's ever had a boss. There's always the sign on the boss that, right? Shit flows downhill. He's certainly at the top of the pyramid. What about all the people turning around that's around him right now? These are supposed to be the people who are protecting him, right? And every president has people who are there to protect him, not telling him, Mr. President, you're getting it backwards. We never gave 350 billion. We gave $1.25. The people who you are attacking, like the EU, they're the ones that gave the 350 billion. And by the way, while we're at it and we're talking about AI, we're talking about job growth in America and so on, maybe you shouldn't talk about automatrons and and technology the way that you're doing it, because if you look at the information that's coming to us, what we're basically talking about is automating any and all of these factories that may one day possibly be built. It won't be staffed with hundreds of American workers. It's going to be staffed with dozens of American workers and robots. How many times have you seen in a movie where human beings are being replaced by machinery? It's not just in factories. We're now talking about, these self-driving, these autonomous vehicles, right? Taxis that they have like in San Francisco and stuff. A friend of mine just got back. He showed me a video of it. It's freaking amazing. It's so sick. It's like out of a fucking sci-fi movie. It's crazy. They're big, they're roomy, because there are no seats up front, but you could have a driver if you needed it. Lo and behold, you're not going to have a transportation industry. You're not going to have, for example, where immigrants basically go to work to at least earn money, right? All of this is going to be gone. The entire transportation is going to be, you go ahead, you buy a vehicle, it's autonomous. Next thing you know, you decide you're going to make it into a cab. You send it out all day and all night, all day and all night, and it just keeps running. And you have only the expense of the vehicle, right? Because they're going to actually be electric anyway. So you don't even have gas on that. It's going to be electric. We're going to have to figure out how to fix the grid. I mean, this whole thing, if you start packaging it together, this should really scare the living piss out of everybody that's with us today. In fact, it's why I constantly say, this is the network where you get reality. You're not getting opinions. You're not getting innuendos or hypotheticals. These are factual. They're building, for example, these autonomous cars. They're talking about, instead of flooding these new factories with workers, with high dollar paying American workers, it's going to all be automatrons.
But you see, where America was pivoting with the CHIPS Act under former President Biden was actually focused on bringing in billions of dollars of investment into the future so America could be the leader in those areas which had a future for growth, because that's what China is focused on, right? Donald Trump wants to bring us back to some perspective of like, we need to focus on coal because he hates windmills and he hates solar. And so he's rolling back a lot of kind of key Biden provisions. He's attacking our allies. I mean, to your point, Cohen, like if your strategy behind all of this, right, was you were trying to isolate China, well, then why are you attacking Taiwan? And why are you attacking Japan? And why are you attacking South Korea? Why are you going after all of these countries that if your true plan was to try to checkmate China, you're going to go after other Asian countries and Southeast Asian countries? Like that's your game plan? What didn't get reported in Donald Trump's press conference with the president of Philippines today, is one of the issues that they face in Philippines is America going to protect us from China? And when Donald Trump praises Xi Jinping at these press conferences, because that's Donald Trump's line, he's a friend of mine, Xi Jinping is a friend of mine, it doesn't instill confidence ultimately in the people of these countries that Trump would ever do anything to stand up to a Xi Jinping and a Putin.
Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. We're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.